And good evening and welcome to another edition of Sports Corner. My name's Ralph Williams, and on the telephone is Smokin Jim Frazier, and we're live here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. And if you look at your ticker tape, we now have a new show sponsor. And our show sponsor I'll be talking about in a few moments here. We're in the DJ Fun Studios here in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. And tonight we're broadcasting on Melon tonight instead of StreamYard. So just in case you may not be looking at the wrong show, we're just on different streaming service tonight, that's all. All right, tonight we have Smokin Jim and I have a lot to talk about, and we'll be getting to it shortly. Let's talk about our new sponsor for the show. Let's talk about Hillcrest Farm. And now Hillcrest Farm is up in Richmond, Ohio. This Saturday I had the very distinct privilege of going up and speaking to the owners up there, who are very, very nice people, by the way, Caitlin and Taylor. While I was up there, I picked up a package of ground meat, $95 for 20 pounds of ground meat, farm fresh beef. Get it up there get up to Hillcrest Farms up in Richmond, Ohio, right up the hill from Steubenville, Ohio. That's how you get there. And there's ways of getting in touch with them. All right. First, you can call them 740-346-5442 or 740-632-2894. And also you can email them at hillcrestfarmsohio@gmail.com or on their website, www.hillcrestfarmsohio.com, and also on their Facebook page. So don't forget to go up to Hillcrest Farm. Get some fresh ground beef. Don't get the stuff you buy at the store that's all colored and everything else. The stuff that you buy here at Hillcrest Farms is fresh farm meat, ground beef. They also have all different types of beef, steak. They have all kinds of different package deals. So why don't you head up to Hillcrest Farms. Call them today. The number again, 740-346-5442, 740-632-2894. Also, we're in the DJ Fun Studios here. DJ Fun, call him today, 412-545-4317 for all your graduation parties and birthday parties, weddings, and special events. And don't forget, DJ Fun is not like the other DJs in Pittsburgh. They take you to the cleaners. DJ Fun will not take you to the cleaners. All right, Smokin Jim Frazier, it's great to have you on board. How are you tonight?
I'll tell you what, man, you make me want to go to Hillcrest Farm, man. It sounds good, man. I love beef, man.
I tell you what, Smokin Jim, $95 for 20 pounds of ground beef. You can't beat it. And it's that farm fresh ground beef. It's not that stuff you buy in the store that has additives and all that in it. No, it's fresh ground beef. Go up there, talk to Caitlin, or go up there and talk to Caitlin, and she'll take care of you up there as well. Also, Caitlin and Taylor, go up there and talk to one of them too. They'll handle you very well up there as well. As far as getting you set up with that, they're up in Richmond, Ohio, and I'll give you the address, Smokin Jim, so you can put it up on your GPS and head up there. So,
all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Sir. Absolutely, no problem at all. Tell them Ralph sent you. You heard it here on Sports Corner. All right, tonight, Smokin Jim, we have a lot to talk about as always tonight, and I have some news for you about Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from Florida that you like, and my buddy Peter Blake down in Tampa likes. He's number 4 rated quarterback now. He moved up from number 5 to number 4. He's also slated in several mock drafts as going into. He's going to be going in the top 10 somewhere in the draft. So I just want to let you know that one as well. All right. Okay. Smokin Jim. Omar Khan has spoken to the Bears about moving up in the first round of the draft. Reports are out there. What do you think about that, Smokin Jim?
Well, I didn't hear anything. How's he going to move for what pick? Does the Bears have?
I think the first round pick, as you know, the Bears have 2 picks in the first round, including they had the top spot. They traded it to Carolina. And there are rumors that they may be interested in trading down. Steelers are looking to trade up to get something. What they're looking at, I don't know. It could be anything. I hear the Houston Texans. I heard that story too. What do you think could happen?
The think more than likely the Steelers will stand pat. They got three pretty good picks in the first first two rounds. Two first round picks. So I don't foresee the Steelers making the move.
All right. Glenn Thomas was hired as an offensive assistant. He's going to be working under Matt Canada. Rumor has it this guy could possibly be the new offensive coordinator if Matt Canada. I heard he's been put on probation for this season. If the offense doesn't improve, things don't look better, he's on his way out the door. We heard that last year. I think it's the same old stuff over and over again. What do you think, Smokin' Jim?
Well, I think that Canada is focused in on having a great offense this year. I mean, that's what you can do. It's a results-oriented business. I think there's enough weapons on offense for the offense to be very productive. And if it's not, it should be cake.
Okay, this week the Steelers hosted Robert Beal, edge rusher from Georgia. He came in today, or this week, as they're hosting him this week. Steelers also signed defensive tackle Armin Watts today. And now here's a guy, and I told you because I reached out to my good friend Harry the Greek. And, we had Harry on a few weeks back. Harry is the beat reporter for the Chicago Bears, although he lives in Tampa, Florida. He does beat reporting for the the Chicago Bears. He told me that he's not a bad player. He's one of those backup defensive tackles that comes in and spares somebody like a Chris Wormley and also like an Isaiah Buggs. I classify him as an Isaiah Buggs because I think he's a big guy that just simply isn't going to really he could help the team a little bit, but it's not a big splash move. You know what I'm saying, Smokin' Jim? What do you think?
Well, Isaiah Buggs was a bum. He wasn't no good with Alabama. He wasn't no good. He couldn't fight. He got beat up on the sideline by one of his own teammates. But he's still in the league. Hey, listen, we just continuing to grab other people's garbage, and Steelers definitely need some starters in this draft. They got to draft at least 3 starters for this draft to be successful.
Also, one other thing too as well. I call them used cars, and I want to go over the defensive line a little bit here while we're here. We're talking about the Steelers. Armin Watts, I'm told he can play both defensive tackle and nose tackle. We have Cameron Hayward, Larry Okunjobi, Montavious Adams, another one of those used cars that I classify him as. You call them the somebody else's junk, Sanford. So, you know what I mean? DeMarvin Llewellyn, let's hope he stays healthy. Isaiah Loudermilk, well, he's about, his milk is about as loud as nothing. So, and the new signee, who I actually like, Brighton Vahoko, defensive tackle, nose tackle, Jonathan Marshall, and Renal Wren. Those are the guys so far on the depth chart for the Steelers that are signed as defensive linemen. So we'll see where the Steelers go with all that as well. For the draft, we'll see. We're probably going to get a few more guys. It looks like they're actually going to stockpile the lines of scrimmage this year. They've done it with some free agency work. We'll see where they go from here. Next, Smokin' Jim, the Dwayne Haskins lawsuit. His wife this past week has filed papers for a lawsuit. She claims he was drugged. He was at several clubs in the Miami area or the Florida area, wherever Mitch Trubisky lives. What do you think about this lawsuit? It's a year in the making here. And all of a sudden now she wants to come up with a lawsuit, the widow for Dwayne Haskins. What do you think?
Well, I took a lot of heat because I was the first and only media person on the planet that said he was drugged. I said he got drugged at one of the nightclubs, probably from one of the females that was hanging around him. And it was clear to me, I don't know who she's going to sue, maybe she'll sue some of the nightclubs or something. I don't think she can sue the Steelers or the NFL or Trubisky, but I definitely thought that he was drugged. When you go somewhere that you've never been before, and you're wearing all kind of jewelry, and people know you got some money, they try to take advantage of the situation. It's too bad he had to die. I took a lot of heat when I said he was drugged, and it looks like I was right.
Yeah, Smokin' Jim, it does. It looks like you were right. It was a tragic situation. It kind of put a little loophole in some plans for the Steelers. Now, this week, coming up in honor, I guess, of Dwayne Haskins, Mitch Trubisky's having another one of his summits down at his house in Florida. He's having a second one. He had one earlier this year. He's having another one. What's your thoughts on this little summit he's having? He's going to try to get everybody to come down. And I understand this time that Deontay Dropson is coming to this one.
Well, I commend Mitch for trying to be a leader, but there's no way with this generation of athletes that I'm going to invite them down to my house in Florida with no supervision. They're down there and they're working out a little bit during the day, and they're running the streets and hanging out all night. And I would be afraid of another Dwayne Haskins situation. So I would not do that if I was Mitch Trubisky. No way.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a situation. The way I look at this is, why would you even do that against Smokin' Jim? And I agree with you on that, because now we could have a similar situation happen again, and this time to probably one of the younger players like Deontay Dropson, maybe. You know what I mean? And there's also, speaking of him as well, Smokin' Jim, I've been reading some reports out there. I don't know if they're erroneous or not, and I have a couple of erroneous reports anyway to report today. And tomorrow night on Talking Wrestling, I got a whole bunch of erroneous reports. So, but anyway, there are some erroneous reports out there saying that the Steelers are looking to shop Deontay Dropson for some draft picks, or perhaps make a trade with a player and some picks. You think that's a good idea, or do you think we should try to keep him?
They should have got rid of him a year ago.
Right.
Why in the world would you pay this guy $18 million a year? He's not the number one wide receiver. But the Steelers have a tendency every now and again to overspend on a few players that don't deserve it, and it ends up biting them, on the backside. So I have heard the reports that they're quietly shopping him around. I don't see anybody that's going to pick up that contract in the trade. That's the problem. I think there's some teams that think he's a pretty good ball player, but not at that price.
All right, here we are. I have a fresh mock draft that just came out today. It's from Steeler Depot Mock Draft. Alex Kozora. And his seventh round, or his full Steeler draft goes like this. Brian Branch, cornerback, Alabama. Number 2, you ready for this? Cody Mock from North Dakota.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
The 2B pick, Keenan Benton, defensive tackle, Wisconsin. The 3 pick, Tariq Stevenson, cornerback, Miami. You know what? Ever since Artie Burns, Smokin' Jim, I don't trust anything that comes out of Miami. Cornerback goes. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my. Anyway, I'll give you the skinny on him in a few minutes. Parker Washington, wide receiver, Penn State. I like Parker Washington. Remember on Thursday on a TV show, I said I think the Steelers should take him somewhere in one of these rounds.
Yep.
But he's to go in the 4th round. We don't have a 5th or a 6th round pick, so in the 7th round, KJ Henry, edge rusher, Clemson. So there you are. There's a mock draft, a full mock draft from Alex Kozora of the Steeler Depot. And get this now. Mel Kiper comes out with these preliminary mock drafts, Smokin' Jim. He come out with this one this week. He changed his pick for the Steelers now. He thinks they're going to take Zay Flowers wide receiver, Boston College. What do you think of Mel? What do you think of Mel Kiper changing his pick? He had Deontay Brooks from Maryland. What do you think?
I don't see it. I mean, the guy's a playmaker, but he's not that big. Zay's fast. He's quick. Of course, he beat out Coach Tomlin's son, which ain't that hard to do. But he's a guy that can give you some productions on punt and kickoff returns. I just don't think that. I think that his future is a slot receiver, and I just don't see the Pittsburgh Steelers spending a high draft pick on a guy that can't play X or Z.
Okay, let's take a look at. I want to take a look at the kick return game, and we didn't get a chance to talk about that on Thursday because of time constraints with the TV edition. I want the Steelers to take in the late rounds, probably in the 7th round, or as an undrafted free agent. They took a look at him at the East-West Shrine game. They've had personal interviews with this guy. UCLA's Dorian Thompson Robinson. I watched him in the Sun Bowl. He was taking kickoff returns, playing wide receiver and quarterback. I think we should pick him up. He's another kind of like a slash deal. That would be a great thing for us to do, the Steelers. I think we do need some kick return help and punt return help. What's your thoughts on this, since we lost Steven Sims?
He's a special player, man. You think he'll still be there in the 7th round?
Well, that's where when I looked at all the mock draft publications or all the draft publications, they're all saying it. So we'll see. That's where they have him. Anything can happen, Smokin' Jim. This guy could go in the 1st round. I mean, it's the draft is like gambling. You just don't know. You gamble on these players, and then you gamble on the fact of where they're going to go, and they just go. Anybody could go anywhere. Anybody can slide down to another round. For all we know, somebody could pick Izzy Abanikanda in the 1st round. I mean, it all depends on what people are looking at. It all depends on what people want. It all depends on, they might have saw something in Izzy that no one else saw, and everyone else said he was going in the 3rd or 4th round. But this general manager says, or this player personnel director says, we should take him in the 1st round. So you see what I mean? That could happen. I mean, you know more about it than I do, but that just could be something that really could happen. All right, let's talk a little bit about, while we're still on football here, AFC North news. Baltimore signed Odell Beckham to a 1-year, $15 million contract. They did it to help Lamar Jackson and also to see if he will stay and stop this, getting angry over the, over the fact of his contract deal and everything else. What do you think of this signing of OBJ?
Well, I'm wondering who's going to throw to him. Lamar Jackson can't throw. He's never produced a Pro Bowl wide receiver. So that's an indication there. I think OBJ was disgruntled with the Cleveland Browns, and he had his college receiver with him then, and he'll be, even at $18 million a year, whatever they're paying him, he's going to be disgruntled because he's not going to see the football very often. Okay,
we're going to have a little fun tonight, okay? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into something called 5 pre-draft mega trades that failed to pan out. All right, so let's get started with the number 5. You ready, Smokin' Jim?
Yes, sir.
All right, the Colts go all in it for Jeff George. Remember Jeff George in 1990?
Yeah.
Well, you see what happened to him. They ended up, they traded him. He went from he was with the Colts. And it says players acquired via draft or trade: Jeff George, quarterback, Illinois, 1st round, 1990. And Stacy Simmons, wide receiver, Florida, 4th round, 1990. Falcon player to acquire because he didn't want to play for the Falcons. So what had happened was the Falcons made the trade, and they ended up with Andre Rison, who ended up not being a bad wide receiver, actually a pretty decent one in his playing career. Chris Hinton, guard, he was a good guard. Reggie Reddick, tackle, Cal Fullerton, 5th round, and Mike Pritchard, wide receiver. Remember Mike Pritchard?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a first-round pick in 1991. That was the trade that the Colts ended up making with the Atlanta Falcons. I think they traded him to the Falcons, so there we are. All right, the Chargers. Number 4, the Chargers pay through the nose for the biggest draft bust in history in 1998. And we all know who that was. Who was it?
Ryan Leaf.
There you go, man. You know it. Ryan Leaf. Yes, absolutely. And the Cardinal players that were acquired via trade for him, Eric Metcalf, wide receiver, and we know Metcalf was good. Patrick Sapp, linebacker. He was a decent linebacker in his time.
Yeah.
Andre Wadsworth, defensive end out of Florida. Corey Chavis and David Boston, wide receiver. He ended up being a decent wide receiver for the Cardinals. David Boston. All right. My favorite draft. My favorite busted up first round. Big mistake of the world, but it also was a joke. And you ready for the joke?
Uh-huh.
Number 3. Mike Ditka trades the whole draft to Washington Redskins for Ricky Williams. Oh, my. All right. The Saints drafted Ricky Williams. Now, here's who Washington got in this whole thing. Champ Bailey. He was a good corner. They got Derek Smith, guard out of Virginia Tech. And one key player here, LeVar Arrington out of Penn State.
Wow.
And they also got Lloyd Harrison, cornerback, North Carolina State, too. So they ended up, Washington that year ended up smelling like a rose out of this whole thing with this because of the, because of that boneheaded move by Mike Ditka. All right, the Browns, number 2. The Browns lose out on a future Hall of Famer. All right. It says the Falcons needed an explosive wide receiver, and they were bet on drafting Alabama's Julio Jones. Atlanta was well aware that he would be long gone before, so the Atlanta pick was 27. So GM Tom Demeroff gave the Cleveland Browns the Falcons first, second, and fourth round picks in the 2011 draft. This enabled Atlanta to move up to 21 spots to number 6 to pick Julio Jones. How do you like that one?
Wow, he was a good player.
Yeah, and the Browns drafted Phil Taylor, Greg Little, wide receiver out of North Carolina. He was okay. Phil Taylor, Owen Maresic, Trent Richardson, running back out of Alabama. He was okay. Trent Richardson wasn't a bad running back. I mean, he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. Brandon Wheaton, quarterback out of Oklahoma State. Remember him? So,
yeah.
All right, number 1, worst trade in ever that didn't pan out in the draft was the RG3 trade. All right, doubles in size in 2012. Okay, the Washington players drafted Robert Griffin III out of Baylor, first-round pick. Rams players drafted Michael Brookers, defensive tackle, Janoris Jenkins, cornerback, Isaiah Peed, running back, Rakevius Watkins, Alec Ogleby, Stedman Bailey, he was a decent player, Zach Stacy, and Greg Robinson, he was a decent player out of Auburn. With the Colts owners of the number 1 pick in the 2000 draft locked in on Andrew Luck, needy Washington decided to target Baylor quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Robert Griffin III. It says Washington got its man, but it paid a hefty cost. The team dealt its first picks in the 2012, 13, and 14 to the Rams, as well as the second rounder in the 12th round. The Rams then parlayed these picks into even more. Those were the 5 worst draft trades and busts in the history of the NFL. So what do you think of that, Smokin' Jim? I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with that tonight because our draft show's coming up on April 25th. So,
that was fun. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. Okay, NFL news. Lions today have signed cornerback Jeff Okudah. They traded Jeff Okudah, cornerback, to the Falcons for a 5th-round pick. Tampa Bay Bucks, Devin White has requested a trade. Wow. I got to find out what's going on down there from my Tampa buddies with that. That's breaking news. The Titans agree to a 4-year, $94 million contract with defensive lineman Jeffrey Simmons. New York Jets signed backup quarterback Tim Boyle. He played for Detroit last year, Smokin' Jim. Didn't do a bad job. He filled in a few times, won some games for Detroit last year. That's not a bad pickup as a backup. So he'll be backing up Aaron Rodgers. 49ers. Right. Now listen to this. If you think the Dwayne Haskins estate's suing, 49ers are being sued by the town of Santa Clara. You want to know why? Because they neglected to pay taxes or neglected something in 2016 when they built the new stadium. And what it ended up happening was they couldn't have a World Cup or some kind of World Cup soccer match there because the 49ers did something to railroad them to keep it out. So now they're suing for loss of money because they couldn't have it. So, but anyway, that's your NFL news tonight. Also, XFL, St. Louis 21, Vegas 17. It looks like our two former Steeler head coaches are not doing too good right now. Rod Woodson and Hines Ward. Arlington Renegades 18, Orlando Guardians 16. Houston Roughnecks 17, San Antonio Hines Ward's team didn't do too good. 17-15, they lost in overtime. But I gotta give Hines Ward credit though. His defense has been pretty decent. The other teams haven't been scoring on the defense. The problem is his offense can't score. That's the biggest problem. They changed offensive coordinators in the middle of the season, and I saw some mediocre Mike in Hines Ward. I really did. He made some boneheaded decisions in the first couple of games. Clock management skills are poor. Decision making, and it looked just like Mike Tomlin. It really did. It looked like mediocre Mike. So I hope he learned more from Bill Cowher than he did from mediocre Mike. All right, DC Defenders 34, Seattle 33. DC Defenders clinch a playoff berth. I'm not sure. They didn't indicate who the other teams are as of right now because they're getting ready to go into the playoffs. Locally, Pittsburgh Passion, they start their season April 22nd against the DC Divas, and their first home game is May 6th in West Allegheny at the where West Allegheny School District is. They play there. They're going to be playing the who are they playing here? Oh, the Tampa Bay Inferno at home is their first home game, May 6th. So go get out and support the Passion, our women's football team. Those of you who are busy horsing around on Xbox or whatever and don't realize we have a women's football team here, so head on out there for some fun as well as that goes as well. Also, the Riverhounds, here we are, the Riverhounds. Wednesday, April 5th, they won the second round of the U.S. Open Cup, 1-0 against Rochester. Saturday, April 8th, they had their first loss of the season, and they're now out of the World Cup finals. They lost to Colorado Springs 1-0. This Saturday, 7 p.m., they play RGV Toros, whoever that is. I think it's some kind of prison in Mexico or something like that. I think, So, Pitt football, and then we'll get to the Pirates and the Penguins. Pitt football, the spring game is this Saturday. I'll be there, 1 p.m. start time. The Heinz Field, it's now called Heinz Field at Acrisure Stadium. So, you know what? I think I can live with that. So, at least we have Heinz Field back in the fray a little bit here.
Yeah.
Here we go. New Pitt women's basketball coach. All right, let's do it here. Yeah. All right. His name's Torrey Verdi. According to the reports that I read, very good at elevating teams, worked at UMass, and took them to 10 A-10 championship games. Wow. A-10 tournament game. Championships. Wow. He won with Massachusetts. Wow. Isn't that interesting, huh? Well, we'll see what he does with Pitt. I understand he's a good recruiter, just like they said about Lance White. There's a difference between being a recruiter and a coach. We all know that, both in football and also in basketball. It doesn't make any difference how good of a coach you are. If you're not a good recruiter, you can forget about it. Or if you can't find a good recruiter, you can forget about it. Smokin' Jim, I wanted to tell you about a Twitter post I read from Paris Ford. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
He was knocking Pitt, and he said if it wasn't for Charlie Partridge, Pat Narduzzi wouldn't be anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said Pat Narduzzi cannot recruit. That's exactly what he said. And he said if it wasn't for Charlie Partridge, and I read that Twitter this week from Paris Ford, he put it out there, and he said that, and I just wish Paris Ford could have done better for himself. And you know what I mean? As far as football career. He said Narduzzi was the one that kind of dogged his career a little bit. He said Partridge was the one who carries the recruiting. If it wasn't for him, they'd be nothing. That's exactly how he put it out there. So anyway, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new sponsor for our show, Hillcrest Farms in Richmond, Ohio. Now, Hillcrest Farm, grain hay beef. And in case you wonder what that is, that's fresh beef. Not the stuff you buy in the grocery store, not the fake stuff that's out there in the tube. I'm talking about fresh ground beef. Okay, so why don't you take a visit up to Richmond, Ohio? It's not very far. Punch it up on your GPS. It's a small little community right up the hill from Steubenville, Ohio. About a 45-minute drive from Pittsburgh. It's not a bad deal. Hey, take a drive out there and sniff some of that great country air out there. It beats the smog in the city. So anyway, they have variety boxes, including the ground beef box, which I bought when I was there. $95, and you get 20, and I repeat, 20 pounds of ground meat, fresh hay ground meat. They have bulk whole beef packages, half a beef, quarter of a beef. They have a lot of beef. So if you like beef, go out there. They have a lot of beef. Hillcrest Farm, Richmond, Ohio. Head on out there today. Take your family out for a nice little ride out in the nice country air. Call 740-346-5442 or 740-632-2894. You can email them at hillcrestfarmsohio@gmail.com. Check them out on their website, www.hillcrestfarmsohio.com, and also on Facebook. They have a Facebook page as well. And look at the bottom of our ticker tape here. It says about our sponsored show and the phone numbers for you to call. Head on up to Hillcrest Farm up in Richmond, Ohio. Not Richmond, Virginia, Richmond, Ohio. All right. And that was our sponsor, Hillcrest Farm. Okay, let's talk about the Pirates Smokin' Jim. Really sad news about O'Neal Cruz. They brought up Mike Mathias. Now, Mike Mathias is a pretty decent player. He's a veteran, been around a while. They brought him up from Indianapolis, and I hear that the one Castro is going to play his position, and they have that Bay now that they can play at second base. The record currently 6-4. Play the Astros tonight. They lost last night 8-2, and O'Neal Cruz went under some surgery. He's going to be out for a few months. What's your thoughts on all this?
Well, Cruz and Aaron Judge are my two favorite players in the league, and it's unfortunate. Hopefully he can come back sometime this season and be fully healthy and continue to play well.
All right, let's. All right, they're fifth place. Or I'm sorry. Whoa, reading the wrong script here or the wrong thing here. All right, yeah, active. Okay. Also, Austin Hedges is on IR with a fracture. He's on IR extensively. J.D. Brubaker, I heard, is getting a second opinion. And I want to blast Bob Nutting again tonight. Last week, I blasted him on the way I see it. He didn't want to pay his ushers. I'm going to blast him again here a little bit tonight, and I blasted him last night again. You want to know why I'm blasting Bob Nutting, the owner of the Pirates? Because he's paying his ushers now. Guess what kind of raise he wants to give everybody, Smokin' Jim and everybody out there? You ready?
Yeah.
A nickel an hour.
Wow.
Now, tell me something, Bob Nutting. How could somebody live on a nickel an hour raise?
Right.
And it's a part-time job of all things. Okay? And I said this last night. I worked as an usher at Heinz Field at Acrisure Stadium back in the day. And, we were fighting with the Steelers to get a raise as well. Well, we ended up signing a 4-year contract that I didn't sign. And it was 25 quarter, nickel. Okay? They gave us a signing bonus. They gave us a signing bonus not to take a pay raise for the first year. Then it went to quarter, nickel, nickel, nickel. Okay? A lousy 40 cents over the course of 4 years, and we had to take no raise to get a signing bonus. And I can't remember what the signing bonus was. Do you know, Smokin' Jim, the Roonies charged me $200 a season for a parking pass, and they only gave us $10 a month for food.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I went to the union rep and I said, you know something, you're weak. I says, I don't like this contract, you're weak. I says, you should have negotiated free food and a free parking. I would have took that over 40 cents.
Right.
Okay. All right. Oh, well, we can't do that because the parking is a separate company, and so is the food. That's Aramark. But so what? You could have negotiated something with the Steelers. The Steelers have rights to negotiate with them. Now Bob Nutting wants to pay his ushers a nickel, just like he pays his players nothing. Bob Nutting is back at it again, Smokin' Jim. He's not only back at it again. He's out there with his picture in the paper and his picture on the TV. Oh, we signed Andrew McCutcheon. Oh. And now, guess what came out of his mouth again? The almighty, we're going to win a championship. I think we have a again. 3 years, we didn't have to listen to that, Smokin' Jim, and everybody out there. We didn't have to listen to that from Bob Nutting, but guess what? It's back again. And guess what? As I've said before, I believe nothing for Bob Nutting, and I don't want nothing from Bob Nutting. I want Bob Nutting out of Pittsburgh. That's as simple as that. Okay? And it's pretty sad when Mark Cuban offers you double for your team and he turned them down. That's pretty sad. So, but that's my blast about Bob Nutting tonight. I really didn't want to go into that, but I had to. Because you know why? That's pretty sad. Don't you think, Smokin' Jim?
It is. It is.
I mean, that's inhumane. That's unacceptable. All right, Penguins, record 40-30-10. They have to win the next two games. And Washington, I understand, and this is a report. I don't know if it's erroneous or not, but it's a report that's out there saying that the Washington Capitals, being that they knew they're not going to make the playoffs, said that they threw the game this past week on purpose because they appreciated the Penguins and they wanted to see the Penguins get into the playoffs. I hear this is true. They made some kind of statement because of what they did in honor of Alex Ovechkin when the Capitals were here the last time. So, okay, so being for the appreciative of it, they blew the game last night so we can move into the playoffs. They don't have a chance. I think they're way behind. Okay, the Pens are fifth in the Metropolitan Division. They have to win these two games. If they don't, they're not going to make the playoffs at all. So they have to. They get the first wild card if they do win these next two games. They beat the Red Wings 5-1 on Saturday, and they're supposed to be. I'm hoping they're winning tonight, and we're gonna be able to do that in a few moments here. Find out what the score is. Let's go there right now. All right, they're playing the Blackhawks tonight, and all right, well, we'll get that score shortly. I know it was 2-2. I heard earlier, so we'll see where they go from there. Sidney Crosby named to his 11th MVP for the Pens, and he also that's the 11th of his career, which breaks a record. What's your thoughts on the Penguins, Smokin' Jim?
Well, I still have to faith. They control their own destiny. They'll win the next two, and they're in. They got it. We're playing at home tonight. Should be no excuses.
Okay, I was wrong. That 2-2 score was the Pirates score I heard earlier. This score is the Blackhawks 1, Pens nothing, second intermission. So they better get moving here, or else they lose tonight. They're out of the playoffs. It's not that hard, for all that tonight anyway. So, Smokin' Jim, it's your turn. What do you have for us tonight? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. It's going to be an outstanding draft this year. I think there's I don't think it's the deepest draft ever, but I think almost every position will produce a successful player for the team that they go to. So if whatever you're looking for, it's available out there in this year's draft. So again, I'm hoping the Steelers take former Blitnikoff Award winner Jordan Addison. That would be my first pick because I want to do what I can to make the quarterback comfortable, and that's what I've been shouting that he wants Jordan Addison.
All right. Yeah, that's good. All right, Smokin' Jim, I'll tell you what we're going to do as well. We should have did this earlier, but we're going to do it now. I wanted to get over some other stuff. All right, let's talk about the different teams here for this year's draft. We're going to go through all 32 teams, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills here for a minute. Let's see here. Last year, their first-round pick was Claire Elam's corner from Florida. They need help in wide receiver and the running back position. What do you think about the Bills?
Well, this is an important draft for them. I think they took a step back after last year. I thought that last year was going to be their Super Bowl. Chance of playing the Super Bowl, maybe win it. But I think they took a step back. And now on their heels, you got Kansas City, Cincinnati, and maybe the San Diego Chargers coming up from the rear. So it's going to be tough.
Okay, Miami Dolphins here. We're going to start with the AFC West. Miami Dolphins. They didn't have a first-round pick last year, as you well know. And this year they need off-season needs. They need a tackle, they need a cornerback, and they need a guard. It looks like offensive line due to the concussions of Tua. They also need a little bit of defensive help from what Avi Greenwald told us. What do you think about Miami?
Miami had an exciting year this year. It hurt that they got penalized with the first-round draft choice. They could desperately need a first-round franchise guy, but I guess that they were entertaining Tom Brady, and got busted.
Okay, New England Patriots. Now, I heard some rumors out there. I'm trying to reach out to a couple of my contacts over in New England to find out what's going on here. Mac Jones wants out. Apparently, there's some disputing going on between him and Bill Belichick. I don't know if he liked the Matt Patricia, Joe Judge toss the coin, make the play, or set the play up thing with the offensive coordinator. They got Bill O'Brien back there. He's going to be their offensive coordinator this year. Matt Patricia has no job. He's on the team, but he's not classified as any job. So I guess he's, I don't know, maybe scrubbing benches with a toothbrush or something. I don't know what he's doing. But I do know that. But anyway, New England, last year they picked up Cole Strange, guard from Chattanooga. But get this now. I'm hearing that New England has 2 picks in the first round, and I heard that they're going to pick quarterback, both of them. What do you think? You think Bill Belichick would do that?
No.
Okay. All right. Their needs are tackle, wide receiver, and corner. What do you think about New England?
Again, I like Matt Jones. He got a quarterback coach now, and he did well his rookie year when he had the coach that you don't like for the Raiders.
Yeah, Josh McDonough, yeah. Well, I'm not saying he's not a good offensive coordinator or quarterback coach. He's a great coach, but he's not a good head coach. He's terrible head coach. Horrible head coach. So hopefully Matt Jones can have the success he had as a rookie this year with Bill O'Brien. All right, the Jets, first round, they picked number 13 this year. They have Aaron Rodgers. They just signed Tim Boyle. Last year's number 1 picks were Sauce Gardner, cornerback from Cincy, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State, and Jermaine Johnson, the second, defensive end, Florida State. Their needs are tackle, quarterback, and safety. I say they're going to take a quarterback, but I'm not sure who at this point. Also, They have Kalijah Cansey from Pitt. I've seen in several mock drafts going to the Jets. What do you think?
Well, it would not surprise me at all.
All right, now let's look at the AFC North, my favorite division. How you like that? All right, Baltimore Ravens, they picked number 22 this year. Last year, their two number one picks were Kyle Hamilton, safety, and Tyler Lindenbaum, center from Iowa. And they need a corner, outside linebacker, and wide receiver. What do you think? What are we looking at here with Baltimore?
Well, again, it's too bad Anthony Richardson is flying up the draft board because that would have been my pick for the Ravens, and they could have moved on from Lamar Jackson. When you got to pay these quarterbacks $250 million and up, that eats up your salary cap real quick, and you can't sign other great players. But if you draft a rookie quarterback and keep him on a rookie deal for 4 years, you can use that $250 million to bulk up your team.
Cincinnati Bengals, of course, their first round pick is number 28. Their first round pick last year was Dan Hill, safety from Michigan. All right. They have off-season priorities: corner, guard, safety, and defensive tackle. What's your thoughts?
Hey.
Are you there, Smokin, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry. My dog was interrupting there.
No problem.
So what's your thoughts on the Bengals? Can't call them the Bengals anymore. I mean, you really can't,
No, they've got a very short window because pretty soon you're going to have to pay Joe Burrow probably close to $500 million. And that's going to, and you're going to have to start reading out a whole lot of defensive players and a whole lot of good players to get under the salary cap. So.
All right, Cleveland Browns. They didn't have a first-round pick last year. I saw their coach. So I seen them basically him sitting there by himself, and so and his the rest of his draft staff were elsewhere. So, what do you think of the Browns this year? They need a defensive tackle, safety, wide receiver, and defensive end. What do you think?
I think they took another step backwards. But you got potentially a great quarterback in Deshaun Watson. It depends on how much rust he's still got to get off of himself. He was very rusty last year. Took a lot of unnecessary sacks. But if he can play like he played during his tenure at Houston, he can win some ball games for you.
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski had a rough year last year, as you know, and he was walking around with his nose up in the air like his doo-doo instinct because everybody kept saying Cleveland was going to go to the Super Bowl and all that, so that ended up happening with him. AFC South, Houston Texans. Their pick is they have number 2 and number 12. Their picks last year: Derek Stingley Jr. corner, Keon Green guard, and this year they need a quarterback. They need a guard. They need a wide receiver. They need a defensive end. They need a whole team. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't think we can comment any further than that because they need a whole team. I mean, it's that simple, Indianapolis Colts, they picked number 4. They have a new coach, Shane Steichen, former offensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see what he does. They didn't have a first-round pick last year, and they definitely need a quarterback, guard, and wide receiver. Where do you think the Colts are going to go?
There's reports out there that they're going to get with the third pick overall. They're going to get Richardson from Florida. Well, I would be surprised if that happens, but there's enough reports out there that got them penciled in with Richardson. But Who knows?
We'll see who goes where and who falls or who rises or whatever. It's going to be interesting. The Jags. Let's see with their first year coach and corner, offensive tackle, defensive end, and safety. And we're going to find out what happens with them. They had 2 picks in the first round last year. Devin Lloyd, they picked the linebacker out of Utah, and Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. Doug Peterson is our head coach. What do you think, Jacksonville, this year?
They're good enough to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think they're gonna. They had the best improved. I think they were the best improved team of all the teams. I believe that were in the basement. Tennessee Titans. Well, we've had this discussion about the Titans. I think Mike Vrabel's walking on eggshells this year. He made some bad decisions last year, cost him some games. Made some bad personnel decisions. Traylon Burks was their wide receiver for the first round last year. Corner, tackle, outside linebacker. Do we see Malik Willis full-time this year? What do you think?
I don't know. I think we might be another year away.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like it. Denver Broncos. New coach Sean Payton. And they have no first-round pick this year. They need tackle, defensive end, guard, and outside linebacker. What do you think of Denver? What do you think of Russell Wilson, Sean Payton? You think he can perform his magic like he's done in the past?
Well, we need somebody in there that Russell Wilson respects. I think he respects Peyton Manning. Sean Payton, and I think that Sean Payton respects him. And I think they're going to win some football games together.
Oh, yeah, they have assistant head coach who I had the privilege of interviewing, Mike Westhoff. He's been a Sean Payton kind of guy. He's their assistant head coach up there. I know he's not going to take no job either, so I think between him and Sean Payton, I think Denver could climb this year. Kansas City Chiefs, of course, Super Bowl winners. They picked number 31. Trent McDuffie was their number 1 pick last year. George Kafardis, defensive end. They need another defensive end this year. They need offensive tackle, and wide receiver. What do you think of the Chiefs? Patrick Mahomes, your favorite quarterback. What do you think?
Well, I'm hearing that Jordan Addison is sliding maybe even out of the first round. And with that 31st pick, if he's available, the Kansas City will take Jordan Addison. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, maybe he'll fall the second round. The Steelers will take him.
Yeah, as long as we take him, man. That's all I care about.
That's right. That's exactly it. But I don't think they're going to take him in the first round, the Steelers. Maybe they will. I can't say. All right, the Las Vegas Raiders with Josh McDonough as their head coach. No first-round pick last year. They need a corner. They need guard. They need a defensive end. They need a tackle, and they need a whole new football team, too. So what do you think?
Yeah, they need so much. They should take the page out of Chuck Norris' book and pick the best available athletes.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Los Angeles Chargers. Brandon Staley, their head coach, walking on eggshells this year. Made some bad, boneheaded decisions last year and cost them some games. What do you think of the Chargers? They're picking number 21, and their number 1 pick last year was Zion Johnson, guard out of Boston College. They need tackle, linebacker, and cornerback. What do you think?
I think the Chargers are right there. I think this could be their biggest problem is they play in a very tough division. But I like the talent. I love the quarterback. And let's see if they can get the running back re-signed. But I like the Chargers.
Then we're going to go into the NFC East, and we're going to start off with the Dallas Cowboys. All right, number 26 they picked this year. Tyler Smith, tackle, was their first-round pick out of Tulsa. They need corner, guard, wide receiver, defensive tackle. What do you think of Dallas?
Oh man, they missed the opportunity last year. Everything fell right for the Cowboys, and they just choked in the playoffs. No more Zeke down there, so Paula's going to have to carry the load. So maybe in the second or third round they grab Izzy.
Yeah, and they also lost their offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, so he went to the Rams. Yeah. All right, New York Giants. Brian DeBoer, first-year head coach, did pretty decent. Got them into the playoffs. Number 25 they picked this year. Last year, their first-round pick was Kayvon Thibodeau out of defensive end out of Oregon. Wide receiver, inside linebacker, guard, and outside linebacker. What do you think of the Giants and their overpaid quarterback, Daniel Jones?
Yeah, they got back in the corner with the quarterback, and hopefully they're going to do a long-term deal with Barkley. But the Giants are above average football team. They usually win maybe 2 games more than they usually should during the regular season, which is good enough to get them in the playoffs. So I look for the Giants to do that too. I like their head coach. Seems like the team has bought into him as well, but they just gotta get it done, and they don't have enough splash players, so they just gotta grind it out each week.
All right, Philadelphia Eagles. They picked numbers 10 and 30. Their first round pick last year, Jordan Davis. Offensive tackle or defensive tackle out of Georgia. Safety, defensive end, cornerback, and they need two coordinators. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Philadelphia is going to do well. Coming off a Super Bowl, hopefully they don't have a Super Bowl hangover. But they're getting ready to lay Jalen Hurts out. He earned a big contract, and we know that what comes with that is you can't re-sign a lot of your players. So we'll see if they have enough players to still be a championship team.
All right, Washington Commanders. They picked number 16, Johan Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State. Quarterback they need. Cornerback they need, guard, linebacker. I hear Ron Rivera's walking on eggshells. They're about to have a new ownership group, and they have Eric Bieniemy. Oh, let's jump up and down for Eric Bieniemy. Oh, let's throw a celebration here. Here we go. Let's cheer for Eric Bieniemy. There you go. Washington Commanders. What do you think?
They're still going to have an outstanding defense. So their defense will win some games from. The enemy is going to be a bust. I think he's one and done, and I think Rivera is probably going to get fired at the end of the year as well. And Snyder's going to sell the team for about $6 billion.
All right, everybody. Malkin just scored, and it's tied 1-1. Malkin just scored.
Wow, that's
so it's
great.
tied 1-1. Pens in the Chicago Blackhawks. All right. Great. NFC North, Chicago Bears. They're a mess. Their coach is Matt Everfart, and they didn't have a first-round pick last year. They have tackle, defensive end, defensive tackle, linebacker. What do you think of the Bears?
I think the Bears are just trying to hang on for another year until they get the Dome Stadium built. That's going to be the best thing for Justin Fields. He got a really, really good arm, but in the Windy City, you can't always tell. So if they can hang in there one more year, put some pieces of the puzzle together, and then go to a Dome Stadium, I think you can see the Bears pretty good if they can keep it together for another 2 years.
All right, my team, the team I think that's going to progress again this year, the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell. Their first-round picks in the positions are 6 and 18 this year, and they have They drafted Aiden Hutchinson last year. Cornerback, defensive end, linebacker. They need some defensive help, and guess who their offensive line coach still is there? Sean Saladin.
Wow.
So, what's your thoughts on the Lions?
Yeah, I like them. I mean, they're a Cinderella team. They're the darling of the league. So, yeah, I like them a lot.
Green Bay Packers. They draft number 15 position, 2 in front of the Steelers. Gray Walker last year, Devontae Wyatt last year, both out of Georgia were their picks. Safety, outside linebacker, and tight end are their needs. And Jordan Love has taken over probably a quarterback. What is your thoughts on the Packers?
Well, let's see what Jordan Love can do. I mean, he's been on the team a long time. We're probably going to have to pay him before he's done anything as far as production. He's going to have to be like Daniels, man. They got him back into the corner a little bit. And, he's been there a number of years, and they got to keep him, and they probably going to have to overpay him a little bit. Let's see if they can get away with a franchise player on him. But, they got some weapons out there. Christian Watson is probably one of the best young receivers in the NFL. He had a great rookie year. So, they got the home field advantage playing over there in Lambeau Field, which is not easy to do. So,
all right. Minnesota Vikings. They blew it this year. They had an opportunity. They were 10, 11 game winners, and they blew it at the end. And so their pick is number 23. Last year they picked, or they had their first round pick, which was Cena Lewis, safety out of Georgia, corner, inside linebacker, defensive tackle. What's your thoughts on the Vikings?
Well, Jefferson is man, what a weapon, a wide receiver. And again, Minnesota was a team that had an opportunity in front of them last year. You can't believe these opportunities don't come around that often, man. It was like a dream season for them. And, they blew it in the end.
Absolutely. Atlanta Falcons, pick number 8. They haven't done well with Arthur Smith as their coach. Last year they picked up Drake London, wide receiver out of USC. Outside linebacker, corner linebacker, guard. What do you think of the Falcons this year? And they lost Marcus Mariota.
Well, the problem is they don't have a quarterback. They're putting all their eggs in
Desmond Ritter's basket.
Yeah, Ritter's, Cincinnati University. I'm not very impressed with him. And so it could be a problem.
All right, Carolina Panthers new coach Frank Reich. They picked number 9. They need a quarterback, and they need a cornerback, and they need a defensive end. What do you think of Carolina?
Well, I think they'll draft C.J. Stroud, I believe.
Yeah, and Jim Caldwell's their offensive coordinator, by the way, too.
So that's a good one there.
Yes.
They have a few weapons. The team lacks leadership and and veteran presence. But Frank Wright knows he only has about 3 years to get it turned around, and let's see if he can do it.
All right, New Orleans Saints, they picked number 29. Wow. Jeez. They had a rough year last year, and of course I told you about Dennis Allen, and I'm not going to go any further about Dennis Allen. I'm not sold on him being a head coach, but we'll see what happens this year. He has a quarterback, Derek Carr, and he also has Andy Dalton's gone. He still has Jameson Winston. They just re-signed him to a contract. Quarterback, corner, defensive tackle, wide receiver. What's your thoughts, Smokin' Jim?
Yeah, I think New Orleans may be a little bit of a problem. Um, I just don't see it. I see a decline in the superstars. Um, the aging group on decline, and
Yeah, they got Jarvis Landry there. He signed a 1-year contract.
and I tell you what, Jarvis Landry's never been the player he was for the Miami Dolphins anywhere else.
No, he hasn't.
He got the great hands. He's a great possession receiver. He can do it all. But there's something that's been missing since he left Miami, and I think you're going to see that again in New Orleans. It's a good player, but you need a great player in there.
All right, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, guess what? I just found out a real reason why Bruce Arians left Tampa Bay. You know why? Corin was a Buccaneer.
I like that.
All right. Last year they had no number one pick. They need help at quarterback. Kyle Trask isn't ready. And they have Baker Mayfield there. They shouldn't be too bad. They still need a quarterback. Quarterback, guard, safety, and tackle. What do you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? No Tom Brady this year.
Well, the best leader on the team is Devin White, and he wants out.
And he wants out. Yeah.
Well, he wants out. So
he wants out.
It's a mutiny down there. You know, there's no. They have no head coach.
Oh, he's terrible.
And so you're not going to win there. And,
another guy who's great at what he does is a defensive coordinator, but he's a horrible head coach. Terrible.
Good point. Very well said.
Arizona Cardinals with their new head coach Gannon from Philadelphia, Jonathan Gannon. I'm not sold on him. And I'm not sold on Shane Steichen in Indianapolis either. Here are two guys that were coordinators for the Philadelphia Eagles. They helped them get to the playoffs, and then they helped them get to the Super Bowl last year. But that was it. They haven't done anything else. So my question to you is, do you think Jonathan Gannon can work down in Arizona? They pick a number 3. They had no first-round pick last year. They're looking at guard, corner, outside linebacker, and defensive tackle are their needs. What do you think?
Yeah, they can use them all, brother.
That's it.
You can't adjust all those needs in one job, but they need a lot of help.
No, you cannot. Absolutely. You just cannot do it. And then also you got the cancer or the drama and Kyler Murray down there too. So,
yeah.
Los Angeles Rams. Excuse me. Wow. I thought the Rams were going to the championship last year, and I'm getting choked over it. Excuse me. They have no first-round pick this year. They never do. So they haven't had a first-round pick since 2016, and that was Jared Goff.
Wow.
They need tackle, guard, outside linebacker, and safety. What's your thoughts on the LA Rams and Kellen Moore as their new offensive coordinator?
Well, it's a shame that they sold the farm to win the Super Bowl, and so at least they did win one.
Well, you know what's funny though? Here's the funny thing, Smokin' Jim. Did I not call this, or did I not call this? I said you cannot build a team with just free agents. You have to go into the draft. I said Sean McVay's going to fall, and guess what? He fell last year because he didn't have enough. He didn't have enough players. He overpaid for all these free agents and everything else, and he keeps bringing people in. And when you don't have anything to build on, you might as well forget about it. And they haven't had anything to build on. So I mean, he did it to himself last year, and who knows where they're going to go this year. All right, San Francisco 49ers. All right, they had no first-round pick last year. They have no first-round pick this year. They need a guard, defensive tackle, and they need help in the secondary. What's your thoughts?
Well, if they get production out of any one of their quarterbacks,
Garoppolo's gone. He's with the Raiders.
Purdy played well, but franchise guy
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. If Trey Lance plays to his capabilities, San Fran can be a team that pushes again for the Super Bowl. But if not, and who knows about Purdy's arm, one of those two guys have to play like Joe Montana. Easier said than done.
That's it. Seattle Seahawks. They pick 5 and number 20 this year. They have 2 picks in the first round. Last year's pick was Charles Cross, tackle, Mississippi State. Outside linebacker, defensive tackle, guard, and inside linebacker. What's your thoughts on the Seahawks?
Well, I would think at some point you have to bring in a young quarterback to groom him for a couple of years. If somebody falls to them. What's the earliest pick? Pick number?
I think 5.
5.
Yeah,
so
5 and 20. They have 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, you can get a quarterback with the 5th pick. If you can get a quarterback that you like with the 5th pick, and you can sit him for 2 years, that's what I would look at. You don't get a chance to pick that high that often. But other than that, I really like Seattle. They never, the coach never lost the team, and they played impressively well last year. Most people didn't give them a chance, didn't think that they played well at all, but they played pretty well last year.
All right, Smokin' Jim, we just went over all 32 teams, where they're drafting, what their needs are, and what our thoughts are. I thought that was pretty good as well. We've had a really good show tonight, as we always do, but I wanted to say one more thing about our new sponsor, Hillcrest Farm, up in Richmond, Ohio, not far from Steubenville. Take a ride out there. Call 740-346-5442 or 740-632-2894. Check them out also on their Facebook page and on their not only on their Facebook page, but also on their email at hillcrestfarmsohio@gmail.com, and check out their website, hillcrestfarmsohio.com, and on Facebook. What is your thoughts, your final thoughts, Smokin' Jim, before we go?
I know where I can get the beef.
hey, where's the beef? I'll tell you where the beef is. It's in Richmond, Ohio. Go up to Hillcrest Farm. That's where the beef is. 740-346-5442, 740-632-2894. I'm Ralph Williams for Smokin' Jim Frazier. It's been a pleasure tonight. Everyone have a great night, and thank you, and be safe.